The good old webcam. Let me put on a little background music, which is hopefully not too loud. So, those of you who don't know, at the start of 2023, I did a stream. I was like, look, 2022 was a weird year for games for me. I played basically nothing, and I came out of the year going, I had like no really great experiences. Like, I need to better organize myself. It's a new year, new me. Let's consolidate all of my gaming wish lists, all my backlogs across like Epic, Steam, Switch, and just like cull the stuff that I know I'm not going to play, and just make a list of games that I'm interested in playing just to help keep myself organized. And today, I'm going to report on how that went. I made a whole ass slideshow, and by making a whole ass slideshow, I mean, I slapped this together in like an hour last night, and I don't remember what I wrote for anything. So we're going on a journey together. So what inspired this? At the start of 2023, I had watched a video from Daryl Talks Games of a guy kind of going through the same thing of, yo, the backlog is ridiculous. I'm losing track of everything that's going on. Let's make this big backlog, and that's going to be my goal for the year. Now, what I thought was kind of interesting about this is, even though I stole this idea from him, I kind of went about it differently, mindset-wise, than he did. So as you can see, like a month ago, he put out the update saying, hey, here's how my experience went a year later. And I watched that video, and he was like, it was really stressful, because he took it as a goal to, this backlog needs to be finished by the end of the year. And that was never my goal. My goal was just help get myself organized. I was willing to look at this list of games and just going, you know what? I'm actually not feeling that entry, and just cut it right away. Or I'd get like an hour in and go, not feeling it, and just remove it, right? Because it's just to help me keep myself on track. Meanwhile, this guy just like, oh my god, I'm 8 hours into this game that I don't like. Oh, I need to keep going. I need to finish all these games. So it was like a huge stress. It was great for me. It worked for me. So if you take away anything and you want to do this too, just feel free to cut anything for the slightest reasons. So let's start going over some of the numbers. So the original total of the list that I made of games that I wanted to play was 55 games. This number changed over the year for a couple of reasons. One being, I had a couple entries like, I want to play all the Yakuza games, and I just listed it as Yakuza. Or I want to play a bunch of Mega Man Battle Network games. I just list them as Mega Man Battle Network. But then I found by the end of the year, even though I had played a couple of these games, it wasn't really reflecting in the stats. So like I expanded Yakuza into Yakuza 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, stuff like that. And also as the year went on and more games came out, I don't know if you heard, but 2023 is a pretty spectacular year for video game releases. There are games that interested me, and I put them on the list. So by the end of the year, I had about 93 games on my list. And it turns out not all of them I was actually that interested in playing. Like I was saying, some of them I took a quick look at and decided not my thing, and I just took it off. I ended up dropping or just straight up removing 12 games. But by the end of the year, I can comfortably say I completed 33 games. So if you look at 33 and the 12, because again, 12 was just, I consider that more or less completed. I just decided this is a thing on my backlog I am no longer interested in. That's about 45 games, and out of the original total, that's nearly the entire list. Or 45 out of the current total, that's like half the list done within a year. So I'm feeling pretty good about where the year ended. So let's go into the games that I decided were just not my thing. I'm going to be going over the games that I dropped and the games that I completed. I'm not going to be going over the games that I just didn't even touch, because what is there to say? It's going to move forward into my 2024 list. So one of the first games I dropped is Scalebound. But why? So I don't know if you guys realize this, but it turns out that game was canceled in development in 2017. So I couldn't actually play this. It's kind of crazy that I didn't realize this until now, but it is no longer on the list. The next thing that I ended up cutting was Game Boy D-Makes. This is something I was kind of interested in. There's this Patreon 2-Bit Crook where he makes these Game Boy D-Makes. Like, you look at these screenshots. Like, I would love to play a version of Dark Cloud that's just like this. And he has so many other ones. But why would I cut it? Well, it turns out they're not actually games. It's kind of like, this is just like art pieces that he makes that you can actually like load on a Game Boy. And they are super cool, but because I had just like briefly saw it come up on Twitter of like Game Boy D-Mix, I went, oh, I can't wait to play those. And I just put it on the list. I didn't look into it at all. It turns out it's just art pieces that look great, but not actual games. So not really something to put on the gaming backlog. I ended up removing Game Deck. This is a game that I had streamed early in the year. And it was kind of interesting, sort of. So why would I remove it? It was super janky. I ended up losing an hour of progress. When I started that game, they had like 3 difficulty options. When I played LA Noire, one of the things I didn't like about that game was if I got any of the investigations wrong, I could just reload a save and just be a super good detective and be good at everything. And I was like, no, I want my investigation to be on me. So I picked the hard mode of this, expecting at least an auto save, but no. So like when I quit out in the middle of a chapter at the end of that stream, I just lost an hour of progress. And I'm just like, I'm not doing that again. It's not worth it. It just wasn't worth it. On the list, I put, I wanted to play a good Fire Emblem. Because I had gotten annoyed at Fates, I had gotten annoyed at Three Houses, and Engage, I heard good things about it in terms of, oh, the combat is about as good as it used to be, and that just kind of made me want to go play an old one. So I had to decide if I wanted to play 7 or 8 or even 9. I ended up playing a little bit of 8. So why would I cut it? Turns out I just wasn't really feeling tactics. I don't know. I got a few chapters into 8, but when I'm actually playing it like on, I have an analog pocket, and I was playing the actual cartridge. When I'm sitting on the couch playing a video game and I have like a TV on in the background, I just wasn't really in the mood to play a tactics game. I wanted something a little bit more action, a little more active, and I just wasn't really feeling the turn-based thing. Speaking of tactics, I also ended up removing Phantom Brigade, because I learned pretty quickly from Fire Emblem that I just wasn't really feeling tactics games anymore. So like I looked at this on my list and just went, And also, I put this on my list while it was still in early access. And when it came out, it got kind of middling reviews. I think nowadays, if you look at it, it's at least like mostly positive on Steam, but when it came out, it was kind of mixed. I also ended up cutting Shin Megami Tensei 3. There's just I just couldn't decide what was going to be the ideal version to play. One of the main reasons I ended up cutting this was just because, again, I was like, a long RPG, I don't know if I really have the time. But a big point was, this is at the start of the year, I got really into playing my 3DS again. I pulled that out of storage as something to play while watching TV. And while playing my 3DS, I actually ended up playing Shin Megami Tensei 4. So if I was going to get into any Shin Megami Tensei, like I might as well just play 4, because it's the one that I had not finished before, I'd gotten into. And I started getting into that going, okay, if I'm going to be spending time playing a Shin Megami Tensei, I'm just going to cut 3 and I'm just going to play 4. Fuck it, right? And then I ended up cutting Shin Megami Tensei 4. Because, again, I just was not really feeling expansive RPGs. I got like 10-ish hours into this. I was having a good time, but I saw how much time I had left to put into this and just went, too much work. But it is a cool game. I do enjoy this game quite a bit. I tried playing Final Fantasy XII. I want to love this game so bad. I actively really want to like Final Fantasy XII. I picked up the Zodiac Age on PS4. I got, again, like 10, 12 hour, whatever, as far into the game as you do the whole, like, don't listen to Ondor's lies. I'm Captain Bosch von Ronsenberg. And I ultimately just dropped it. I love the aesthetic. I love Ivalice so much. I love tactics. So why would I cut this game that I want to love so bad? It's because you don't play the video game. Everything does itself. It drives me mad. I want to love this video game so much, but every time it gets to combat, it's just like, okay, well, I'm going to put the controller down now because the game just plays itself. It's just so boring. It's so boring. God, I want to like this game so bad. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, kind of the same issue, where I tried to play this game when it came out, 2022, 2. And I found the combat way too complex for, not necessarily like it's so hard I don't understand it. I understand it. It's just unnecessarily complex for like how much menuing you have to do to switch classes, to learn abilities, to do this and that in combat. For how not hard the game is, it is way too unnecessarily just like convoluted. And it really bummed me out because I was enjoying the story quite a bit. So I put this on my list thinking, okay, well, I'll try just playing the game on auto battle, right? If the combat is the thing I don't like, I'll turn on auto battle and just play it like that. Again, like Final Fantasy 12, it turns out that is super boring when you're not actually playing the fucking video game. So I cut it. I got like a couple more hours in and I went, this sucks. I can't do this. I want to play the video game. Speaking of Final Fantasy, I decided I wanted to play Final Fantasy 11. So why would I cut this? So the first thing I had to do was I had to decide between if I wanted to play retail or private. Here are the arguments for each one. Retail being, I mean, it's the retail server. It's the game that most people are going to be the most familiar with because people are still playing it to this day. But I hear that it is a massive pain to install for some reason just because it's so outdated. And then also, I don't want to have to pay for the game and another sub when I am actively paying a subscription to Final Fantasy XIV. It just feels bad to have to pay 2 active subs. So I kind of lean towards private. And then the issue with private kind of becomes, which server do you play? Because I want one that has like a good population, but I don't understand what all these cutoffs are. Some people saying like, oh, this server goes up to level 99, this server goes up to level 75, blah, 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 blah. What's my next? Yeah, okay. So I ended up settling on a private server. Horizon 11 is the one in this image here. At first, I kind of laughed at it because I was reading the webpage for this server. And it's the kind of server that's like, we aim to recreate 11 when it was good. Back before they added this expansion, you know, back when you had to walk from here to there and the game had a sense of community. I'm just like, these elitists, these losers. But then as I sat on it for like 30 minutes, I realized I could name at least 2 MMOs that I would feel exactly the same way. So I was like, you know what? They might have a point. Let's pull this down and try it. And it ended up being the slowest video game I've ever played. I streamed it. It was, I don't know if that footage still exists somewhere. Probably doesn't. Oh my god, that was so slow. I think I killed like 10 enemies and I maybe did 1 quest over the span of 2 hours. It was egregious how slow that game was. I may still try retail someday. Apparently I wrote this. I don't remember writing this, but if they ever like put the game on like super sale or whatever, maybe I'll check it out. Because I don't want to write it off entirely on I played the game at its slowest, therefore it's bad. Maybe I would like retail. Who knows? I ended up adding and cutting the game Absolver. The long and short of it is I honestly just didn't understand this game. I played it for like an hour and a half. It was just kind of wandering around this empty world and then just getting your ass kicked by some rando. And I was like, okay, if I ever try this again, I need to like read some guides or something. But I just wasn't really feeling it. Speaking of games I wasn't really feeling, something I had put on my list was Signs of the Sojourner, because it just looked kind of interesting from the trailers that I had watched. But again, I honestly just didn't understand it. It's this weird sort of deck building conversation game, but you don't really know what your opponent is going to play, and you actively want to try to like combo with the opponent, and you're having these conversations with your cards, but the cards don't actually represent words, so it's really hard to tell like what you're talking about. When you aren't picking your dialogue in a very dialogue driven game, kind of hard to understand or be interested in it. I also ended up dropping Sekiro, one of the greatest games of all time. Why would I love this game, so why would I do that? I mean, I streamed it, and within that stream, I just tore ass all the way up to Genichiro. I beat Lady Butterfly, I beat Gobu, And then I kind of just had my fill. I saw what was ahead of me and going, okay, I gotta do the folding screen monkeys, I gotta do Guardian Ape, I gotta do this, I gotta do that before I can get to like actual interesting bosses again. And I just went, I kind of got my fill with Genichiro. That being said, because I do love the combat in this game a lot, I may just do the inner bosses, like the boss rush stuff. That would be kind of cool. I could, you know, kind of cut out the chaff and just go right to the good bits, you know? This is, I believe, the final cut that I made. Metal Hellsinger. I was kind of disappointed with this game. I was really looking forward to this game. It was one of the first things I put on my backlog for 2023. This, along with like Solar Ash and Neon White and Sifu and Citizen Sleeper, of like, here's like the top 5 games I'm the most interested in playing. And then I got like halfway into this and I just dropped it. Why? I just kind of got bored, honestly. It's really strange. I would describe this game as less than the sum of its parts. Like, the music is really good. The aesthetic is really good. The gameplay is fine. Like, it's not bad, but it's so strange. As someone who loves bullets per minute, I've thought like a rhythm-based shooter was going to continue to be really good, but there's just something about this game where it just doesn't quite do anything for it. It's just kind of like, it's nothing but air. Like, it's so hard to explain what is wrong with this game, because nothing is wrong with this game. It just doesn't add up to as much as it should. The experience just kind of like in one ear, out the other. So I just like, I didn't have the excitement to boot it up once I got halfway through. I just went, I'm kind of done with this. And those are all the games that I dropped. That was like 12 of them. And I have completed more than double that. So let's start going into all the games that I actually did beat this year. First game that I beat was Bye Bye Box Boy. I was a big fan of the Box Boy series. They're the games that I would play like on commute from home to work. I thought they were just cute little puzzlers that you could just bang out a few puzzles on the bus. Great. And I was looking forward to playing this because by the time this came out, I was no longer commuting to work. COVID, yada yada. So I was looking for an excuse to finally sit down and play this. So I grabbed an emulator because eShop is down. You can no longer legitimately buy this game. And I just played it on my computer. And it turns out I feel like I would have enjoyed this more if I was still commuting. I kind of got in the mindset of the Box Boy series being just games that I play on commute. And when I had to like dedicate time to sit down and play it on the computer, didn't enjoy it as much. And also, the bonus stages got really hard. Like, I maybe would have had more patience for them if, again, I was commuting and I'm kind of stuck playing this game. But when I have the ability to just close the game and do something else, go watch TV, I did not stick around to solve the bonus puzzles. So maybe I'll throw this on the 3DS at some point, just because I can. I still don't think I'm going to have a good window to really sit down and play this the way I feel like it was intended to be played, on a bus. I played Citizen Sleeper. This is one of the games I was most excited about playing in 2023, and it was one of the first games that I played in 2023. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I wouldn't say I loved it. I really, really liked it. It was a very promising game at the beginning. The conceit of this game being like, you're like a robot that has escaped kind of the like servitude of its corporation, and you've like flown out onto a space station, and now you have to make your way on this space station from nothing. You have no money, your body is falling apart, no one trusts you, the corporation is trying to find you to get you back. It's very, very stressful at the start, and I feel like it was really good then, but I feel like it lets up the pressure too early. Before like half the game even finished, I had solved like a major timer of like the corporation trying to get you back. And with that no longer looming over my head, I was just free to kind of do whatever I want. And I was missing that pressure. At that point, I was just kind of going through the motions. There were still character narratives to enjoy, and I enjoyed quite a few of them. But there were a few narratives. In particular, there's one narrative about helping a construction worker and his daughter get off the space station to like go make a life on this spaceship that needs to fly like 100 years in this direction or whatever. And by the time I started doing those, I had already decided my character would prefer to live on the space station. That's just, he's making his life there, he's having a good life. But literally all of the dialogue within this character side story, I had to pick options of, oh yeah, I can't wait to leave the space station with you. Like, there was no other way to, like, really advance. And I was like, this is just not what my character would say. It wasn't until, like, the end where I basically had to abandon him on the on the spaceship and just be like, all right, let's get you guys on the ship anyway, bye. And it just felt kind of weird. But there were a lot of actually good narratives that kind of felt fit my idea of what my character would do. So I really did enjoy this game. I would highly recommend it. I would just say I really liked it, didn't love it. Wonder Labyrinth. This is a game that I had played before. I felt like replaying it because it's really good. And it turns out it still owns. Easy as. Nothing else to say. If you got time to play Wonder Labyrinth, go grab it, enjoy it. Okay, Game Boy Lightning round. At the start of the year, my lovely wife gifted me an Analog Pocket. I enjoy this thing quite a bit. I have a collection of Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games, as you can see in this image, and it's a good excuse to finally sit down and play through several of them. Also, just throughout the year, I just started buying some more like Japanese games, because Japanese games are less expensive than North American versions. So what did I actually sit down and complete on Game Boy this year? I completed Aria of Sorrow. That game is still great. I wouldn't say I love it, because I prefer classic Castlevania more than I prefer the adventure-style Castlevanias, but this game is still great. I played Donkey Kong Land. That is a game that I owned as a child and never finished. That game is ugly as hell. It's basically the first thing I played on the analog because I thought it was really funny to go, here is this beautiful screen, beautiful backlit screen to play these Game Boy Advance games. I'm going to play the ugliest game that I have. And I ended up finally finishing it for the first time. The game is kind of whatever. It kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I played Kirby's Dream Land 2. I actually loved this game. I never played this before. I loved it. It might be one of my favorite Kirby games. It was just so fun figuring out the combinations of all these power and buddies. It was sort of like a prototype Kirby 64. It was great. I thought the Game Boy art was fantastic. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Highly recommend. Would play again. Probably will someday. I played Rockman World. Specifically Rockman World just because I bought it in Japanese. I had played Mega Man Wily's Revenge, which is the English version of that game, a lot as a child. I went into this knowing this game is bullshit hard, and it sure is. Oh my god, this game was way harder than I remember. I cannot believe I ever beat that as a child, because I very much abused save states in this playthrough. And then I played Rock Band World 2 for the first time. That game is way easier, almost to a detriment. I feel like they really overcorrected. It's definitely more enjoyable than Rockman World 1, but there's kind of just free one-ups everywhere. You could face tank so much damage. I'm interested. I'm going to keep playing. I have Rockman World 5, but I want to get 3 and 4 first. I kind of want to play them in order. So no 3, no 4, but I'll get to those eventually. Super Mario Land. Owned this game as a child. Beat it several times as a child. I put this in the analog, and I beat it within 45 minutes. That game still kind of rocks. It's not good, but it kind of rocks. If you know, you know. Like, it's a super janky way to play Mario. I also played Wario Land for the first time, specifically Wario Land 1. The only Wario Land game I had played before was 4. This game was way more expansive than I expected. The physics are super fucked up. What a whack game. I will probably never play it again. It was fine. I cannot believe how long that game is. It was weirdly long. I played all of the Shovel Knight DLCs. Years ago, literally like 6 or 7 years ago, I did a Let's Play of Shovel Knight for my YouTube channel. Pretty well received. And at the end of that, I said, I want to get Plague of Shadows on my YouTube channel at some point, someday. Because that's the only one that was out at the time. I wanted to wait for the other 2 DLCs to come out and decide how I wanted to Let's Play those as well. 6 years passed, and the best thing I could come up with is I'm just going to stream all 3 of them and just put them on YouTube as is. Like, I don't have the energy to Let's Play them like I did before. But they are now all up on YouTube. I kind of like Plague Knight a little bit less than I used to. As Spectre Knight and King Knight came out and they really kind of expanded on the Shovel Knight formula, they got their own levels, mechanics, story. Plague Knight feels a little quaint in comparison because you are just playing through the Shovel Knight campaign again, but with just sort of some new moves. I like King Knight a little bit more than I used to. when I first played King Knight, I actually kind of walked away going, this is the weakest of the three by far. It's really hard. There's too much cards. But after playing it on stream, the things that I thought were hard, not really as hard as I remembered, except for the final boss, who was a massive asshole, and I got so mad while fighting him. I cut out most of that while putting it up on YouTube because no one needs to see me get that mad at video games. But overall, I would say I actually liked King Knight more than I used to. So I had a good time playing these. Mega Man X. This is a game that I've played probably 24 times as a kid, and as a teen, and as an adult. There was just one day when I was at work, and I needed some background noise, so I put on the Mega Man X soundtrack, and while I was listening to that, I went, fuck, dude, I need to go home and stream Mega Man X immediately. So I did. This game is still the GOAT. One of the greatest games of all time. Play it. That's all there is to it. Gato Roboto. This is a game that I had put on my backlog to play just because it was frequently on Steam for like $1 or $2 or something like that. And it was a little Metroidvania that I felt like picking up and playing. I'm going to be honest. Do not remember anything about this game. I played this game near the start of 2023. Banged it out in like 2 afternoons. I don't remember a damn thing. It was fine. Lunacid. This is a game that I picked up because Iron Pineapple was doing one of his Souls-like games that you may not have heard of series. I forget what the name of that series is called. And one of those games was Lunacid. It's not really a Souls-like more than it is a Kingsfield-like. So if you're looking for a PS1 aesthetic game where you just walk down dark hallways and at the end of that hallway is a single spooky skeleton that you very slowly hit with a sword while backing up, this is the game for you. The vibes were incredible. They're just off the charts. Love the vibes. Music was chill. The aesthetic was fantastic. I did not dislike playing this game. That being said, one of my biggest criticisms of this game is this game has some really wild secrets. Trying not to spoil the context of some of these too much. Like, you can kill death. And when you do that, the world becomes infested with the souls that can no longer pass on to the afterlife. You can kill a titan that is so large that its blood permanently floods the area that it once lived in. Like, it has some crazy secrets. But for every one secret like that, there is 20 or 30 secrets that are just, you need to have been rubbing your face against this nondescript wall and open the secret door. And I missed so much stuff just because of that, because I just wasn't looking every wall. I wish there was a little bit more that I could have found without having to just, like, play hallway liquor simulator. Streets of Rage 4. I am the president of Lizard Cube fan club. That's not actually true, but I do really enjoy Lizard Cube. They did the Wonder Boy The Dragon's Trap remake. I had never played Wonder Boy The Dragon's Trap before. Wonder Boy 3 or whatever it was called. And I played Dragon's Trap, the remake, and I loved it. Loved the art, loved the gameplay. It was great. And I wanted to see what they were up to these days. They had done the art for Streets of Rage 4, so I picked this up. And I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I have never really been a big Streets of Rage head, but I had a good time with it. I almost wanted to get good at this game. There are some games like Sekiro, where like you play it and you're like, I want to get good at this game. I want to destroy these bosses. I want to go through this game super fast. And Streets of Rage 4 almost left me feeling that way. Where like I beat the game and going, there's enough depth to this combat that I want to like get good at it. And then I just ultimately didn't do it because I'm like, whatever, it's a beat 'em up. I played Ocarina of Time 3D. As GDQ is on right now, I love dating videos. I love just saying things in videos so that when I finally upload it to YouTube, you can tell exactly when it went online. Went online. GDQ is going on right now. I played Ocarina of Time 3D during SGDQ 2023 because at the time, I was playing a lot of 3DS. And I wanted to just lounge on the couch, watch GDQ, and play 3DS. But I didn't want a game that I needed to focus on very hard. Because at the time I was playing a lot of Monster Hunter, and that is a game that pretty much requires my full attention. I wanted something where I had played it 1 billion times, and I could just go through it without having to think about it. Just go through the motions. I could honestly replay this game another 20 times. It's Ocarina of Time. What can I say? It's Ocarina of Time. I hate being one of those guys online that's like, oh yeah, Ocarina of Time is one of the greatest games of all time. But it's so comfy. I hate that term, but it really is just so comfy. I could play this game once a month and be cool with it. Like, it's just such a good game. On the Zelda train, I did also complete Tears of the Kingdom. So back when Breath of the Wild came out, the takeaway I had from that was I don't want a new Zelda game. I want Breath of the Wild 2, because leaving Breath of the Wild, my kind of feeling on it was this game is fantastic, but it's missing just a little bit. I feel like there's a little bit more they could build on. I don't quite know what it is, but I feel like it's not entirely fully realized. So when they announced this game, I was like, oh shit, they're doing it. They're making Breath of the Wild 2. And when I was playing this, I almost thought I was wrong for wanting that. Because within the first hour, I did the tutorial islands up in the sky, and then I'm wandering around the empty field. I'm like, oh god, this is kind of just Breath of the Wild again. This is just Breath of the Wild again, except instead of having a horse, I have to go build my own car. And I'm not that creative. So I was like, oh no. But eventually the game did sink its claws into me, and I did really enjoy playing through it. Spoilers, I'm finishing my thoughts. I loved the cave systems. I really loved the sky islands. The depths didn't have as much depth as I would have hoped, but the dungeons were kind of interesting. There's so much about that game that I thought was super cool, except for the story, which is gotta be literally the most frustrating narrative I've played in a video game, basically forever. I spent the entire story of that game just being mad at how it was being told to me. It was so bad. The story itself isn't that bad, but it's also not good. It's not very interesting. And then on top of that, they just present it in basically the worst way. And I just spent the entire story just being so mad at how they're presenting it to me. I don't really want to spoil anything because it's still so new, but oh my god, if I ever play this game again, I'm just skipping every cutscene. I'm not getting any of the geoglyphs. Fuck it. It's so bad. I hated it. I ended up playing Live Alive. Live Alive. The trailers say Live Alive, but I know some people who are not happy about the trailers saying Live Alive, and that it should be called something else. I don't know. I never played this game on Super Nintendo. I mean, it was never released in English. I think you could find fan patches. I never played this back in the day. So, I was curious to check out this remake. I think it was like $40 or something. It ended up being super neat. I really love seeing when retro games experiment. So, this was a time where what would a crafting system look like? Let's just combine two items and it just makes a random third item. Or what would a stealth system look like? And it never does any one thing really well, but it's kind of cute seeing them try all these little things and figuring out what to do with them. Some chapters were definitely better than others. I really enjoyed the ninja chapter. I kind of enjoyed the cowboy chapter. And then I thought the Kung Fu chapter was just awful. It was so bad. You had to keep fighting the same battles over and over. So I think there's kind of a wide range of what was really fun and not particularly fun. That being said, Orsted did nothing wrong. If you know, you know. That man was done so dirty. Oh my god. I'm so sorry, Orsted. I ended up playing a lot of Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. This is a game that I actually played quite a bit in 2022, but I continue to play a lot of it in 2023, to the point where I would comfortably say I feel like I've beaten it in this year. I beat Adolka. There's still so much end game stuff that I could do, but Adolka is kind of the final boss. This has been my ticket into old gen Monster Hunter. I've got Monster Hunter Freedom, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, Monster Hunter Tri, Monster Hunter Portable Third, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter Iceborne, and Monster Hunter Rise, all here on my desk. And this would not be the case if it was not for Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Like, yes, Monster Hunter World is the game that like got me into Monster Hunter, and Rise, well, Sunbreak is what made me go, actually, yes, I want to stick with Monster Hunter. But Generations Ultimate was what made me go, okay, the older generations of Monster Hunter are very approachable to me, and I enjoy them quite a bit. And I will never be able to forgive it for that. This game has infinite content. All the side quests in this game are basically side quests from all the old games. And this game will never end. You can still play it online. The online is very accessible, so I've played this online with friends several times. It's fantastic. I will, at any point in my life, probably be able to boot this up and play this game with friends. I played Slayers X Terminal Aftermath Vengeance of the Slayer. I played this game because it is an offshoot of Hypnospace Outlaw, and I really enjoyed Hypnospace Outlaw. The conceit of this game is that it's like a retro-themed shooter, like not like Doom, but more like what's that, like Redneck Rampage, that kind of era of boomer shooters. A kind of era of shooters that has passed me by entirely. I did not have a computer that could play games as a child, so like basically any PC game before 2010, I have very, very, very limited experience with. So going into this, I thought it was just kind of neat, but it didn't harken to an era of games that I felt nostalgic for. I mostly just got lost a bunch in this game. You spend a lot of this game looking for keys to go forward into the next room, and ultimately just like, I struggled to find those keys a lot. I did play a lot of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is a game that, I mean, it's Mario Kart 8. I've been playing this game since literally 2014, but the deluxe version within the past year or so has been putting out a lot of DLC. And I wanted to just play all that DLC as it came out. Oh, mama, that's a lot of tour tracks. I don't think we were really expecting that when they announced the DLC. I think we were sort of expecting it because we know a lot of these tracks are literally just direct ports from Tour, and that's why they were able to crank out so much DLC. But oh my god, that was a lot of Tour tracks. Panzer and I did do several streams of ranking all the content, all the DLC content, all the new tracks, and it is up on YouTube. You can see it there. Our opinions are rock solid. No one got mad at us for being disinterested in Koopa Cape. And everyone loved our opinion that Yoshi's Island was the best new track of the DLC. Go watch it. I played Pony Island. Why did I play this? Well, they announced Pony Island 2 at the Game Awards, and I really liked Inscription. I was a pretty big fan of Inscription, so I'm pretty into Daniel Mullins games, even though that was the only one that I had played. And when I saw Pony Island 2 was announced, I was like, that looks interesting. And then I looked at Pony Island 1, and it was on sale for like 79 cents. I was like, might as well pick it up. It ended up being like an hour or two long. It was kind of okay. I didn't love it. You can definitely tell it was someone's game jam game made into a full game. So it had some neat ideas. I really liked fleeing with the speed of 1,000 ponies. I will probably not play this game again, just because it's kind of want to. I should replay Inscription. Honestly, that game kind of rocked. I played Final Fantasy XIV. Now, granted, Final Fantasy XIV is an MMO. It's kind of hard to put on a list of games that you've completed, but I put it on my backlog with a direct goal. There were two things that I wanted to do in Final Fantasy XIV as like, here's a goal to attain. The first thing I wanted to do was solo the variant dungeons. That was content that was relatively new at the start of 2023. I didn't fully understand what they were. I just knew that it was a dungeon that you could do solo, and that interested me. So I wanted to try those out. It turns out that is pretty uninteresting. Those dungeons are designed to be soloed, and therefore it is not particularly interesting. The boss fights are kind of neat, but all the trash that you have to wade through is just kind of whatever. And then the whole branching story stuff, or the branching paths of like how to find the secret exits to the dungeon, was sort of neat, but I didn't like super love it. I also wanted to solo the deep dungeons. So I had soloed Heaven on High in 2022, and that was tons of fun because that is content that was designed for a party that incidentally you could do solo. It was not meant to be soloed. It's just you could if you were up for the challenge, and that was really exciting. And there was a new deep dungeon coming out in 2023, Eureka Orthos. That deep dungeon was designed to be soloed, and then incidentally, you can do it in a party, and therefore, it is not as interesting. So once I beat that, and I was kind of let down by that, I actually went back and I soloed Palace of the Dead as well, and that kind of rocked ass. It was way too much of a time commitment. 200 floors is way too much. I don't recommend it to anyone, but I had a good time with it, so it counts as completing Final Fantasy XIV. Speaking of Final Fantasy, I quote-unquote completed Feet Rhythm Final Bar Line. This is a game that I've actually been asking for years. I always get exactly what I want. So years ago, I played Feet Rhythm in arcade. There's an arcade version of Feet Rhythm that I had never seen before. I went to an arcade, and there it was, and I fell in love with it. And I was like, I want that ported to consoles. And that's basically what this is, and I always get what I want. This is the kind of game where, like, I wish I could have an arcade controller. It's fine on controller. I just think it would be a little bit nicer with an actual arcade controller. But I'm going to be playing this on and off for years. I completed all of the sort of like story, not quests, but like campaigns, I guess you would call them. Each of the songs within those campaigns have more direct quests, where I've probably completed like somewhere between 60 to 80% of them. That is the kind of game where I'm just going to like load up this game, try to knock out a couple of those quests, call it a day, come back a week later, do a couple more. Like, Feet Rhythm is just so good. It's a really chill, cool rhythm game. Highly recommend. I also completed Yakuza 3 and Yakuza 4. So, I got into Yakuza with 0, and after completing 0, I completed Kiwami 1, and it sucked ass. But 0 was so good, I was determined to play every Yakuza game. Every, at least numbered Yakuza. I will consider Judgment once I get through 7 and 8. A lot of people will say that Yakuza 3 is the worst of the franchise. I cannot in good conscience say that when Kiwami 1 is right there. I thought this game was just fun. Now, granted, I went into Yakuza 3 knowing that everyone says the combat is really bad, just play it on easy. So I did that. And so at that point, the combat was just kind of whatever. It was there. The story was not interesting. It was just, I barely remember anything that happens in this game. It's just kind of what it is. A very bog standard Yakuza. It is the most normal bog standard Yakuza you could probably ever have. In comparison, Yakuza 4 had literally the dumbest plot twist I've seen out of any Yakuza so far. It is actually insane where that game goes. I'm trying to think of how to not spoil this 15-year-old video game. There's a part in the game where someone stages a crime, and the steps required to stage that crime are so insane that as they were showing off how they did it, I was like, this is ridiculous. This would never work. So many things would have to like line up perfectly for this to happen, and even then it's not believable. And the immediate scene after that is the chief of police going, this is ridiculous. Who do you think would ever fall for this? Thankfully, I am corrupt and I'm gonna help you get away with it. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, they lean into the insanity so much, it kind of rules. That is most of the games that I played this year. There are 5 games left on this list of games that I've completed this year that I would say are the top 5 games that I played this year. If you are in various Discord servers with me, you may have already heard me say what they are. If you follow me on co-host, which you should, that's where I post these days. Fuck Twitter, fuck Blue Sky, fuck Plurk. I post on co-host every now and then, and I posted my top 5 games of the year. But I'm going to say them again here for those who follow me on Twitch and YouTube. My 5th favorite game this year was Sifu. This is a game that I tried to stream early in the year, but it was kind of frustrating in that it didn't stream very well. Just the performance was really bad, and I was just very bad at the game. But I stuck with it, and I'm glad that I did, because it reminded me that I love being challenged. It's hard. It's basically martial arts in a video game form. The way I kind of describe this game, I've uploaded a full playthrough of this to YouTube, and I think at the end of it, I said the same thing, where like, when I think back to Sekiro, there was a distinct moment in that game where I beat Lady Butterfly, and it clicked with me. I was like, I understand this game. I want to play the rest of it. I never had that clicking moment with Sifu. I would be playing the game going, this is so hard, this is so hard, this is so hard, dying, restarting the stage, dying, restarting the stage, oh my god, this is so hard, dying. And then it wasn't until, due to the mechanics of the game, that I was encouraged to go back and replay like stage 1, stage 2, instead of like suffering on stage 3, that I actually realized how far I had come. The only criticism I really have about this game is I wish the sound effects were a little bit more impactful. As someone learning the game, it was hard for me to really tell exactly when I had successfully parried or deflected something, or like when my hit landed. I think the hits could use a little bit more oomph. Now, as someone who is like good at the game now, it's not as important, but as someone learning the game at the time, it needed a little bit more. That being said, over the course of the year, they have gone back to Sifu and updated the game with like new arena modes and like trials, and I've been feeling that itch. I kind of want to go back and see all that new challenge content. I want to try it out. So 2024. My number 4 game of the year was Ghost Trick. This is a game that I had actually played on DS back in the day, and also on iOS because it was on sale for like $1, and I had already beaten it on DS, so I picked it up. So I've not played this game in like 10 years. It came out on Switch for like $30 or something ridiculous like that. It's like, yeah, I want to support this game. I want to see if it's still as good as I remember. It turns out it's still the hypest game on the planet. Those final few chapters, if you know, you know. This game owns so much. Oh my god. And it's even funnier the second time around. When you know like the big plot twists and you can kind of see it foreshadowed earlier in the game, it's just funny. I love this game. It's fantastic. It's so good. My number 3 game of the year, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, a game that came out in probably 2011. That counts, right? By the way, not all of these games in my top 5 are going to be from 2023. These are just my favorite games that I played this year. I did not think I was going to like this. So I did say earlier that Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate was my ticket into old gen. That being said, going back earlier than Generations Ultimate, you do have to deal with more and more cruft. In particular with 3 Ultimate, a lot of people say this game isn't their favorite because it has a lot of underwater combat. It's super janky. This game doesn't have like item sets. So like every time you go out for a hunt, you have to manually go into your inventory and decide what items you want to bring. So there's just a lot going into this game where from what I heard about it, I didn't think I was going to like it. But the vibes are just, it's so hard to describe. I think everyone's favorite Monster Hunter is going to be different. And most of that is going to come down to the vibes, at least to me, where arguably like Generations Ultimate and Rise are way better games than this. But there's just something about like the desaturated color palette of this game, the quiet village, what monsters they chose to put in this game, what abilities I have. There's just something about the vibes of this game that I just absolutely gel with, and I loved playing it. I sort of didn't complete it. I finished low rank and high rank village. I finished low rank and high rank hub. At the end of 2023, I unlocked G rank. I haven't done any of it yet. I started one hunt. I just wasn't really feeling it at the time. I needed a bit of a break from this game because I'd already put like 100 hours into it. I am very curious to see how far I get into this game solo because they're shutting down the servers for this game very soon. So I need to do what I can alone. I would like to see them bring back underwater hunting. I think with more modern control schemes, they could come up with something better than they did here. It's definitely very clunky. Underwater combat in 3 Ultimate is definitely very, very crusty, but especially playing on 3DS, hopping into the water and like using the stereoscopic 3D and just seeing the monster in the distance with glowing red eyes. I love this game. It might be one of my favorite Monster Hunters, like right next to World. I had such a blast playing this, and I'm just looking forward to the motivation to hopping back in there and playing some G rank. My number 2 game of the year, Baldur's Gate 3, a game that I had not had on my radar until like a week before this game was coming out, and everyone was talking about like, oh, this game's about to come out, this game's about to come out. And at the time, maybe it was caused by this, but at the time I was like, I'm really looking for a game where I can just create a character and make choices for that character and build a character. So I picked up Baldur's Gate 3 without looking into it too much, and literally, what could I possibly say about this game that the internet has not already talked about? This game is phenomenal. It's crazy how much game there is to this game. It's so good. I finished this game and I genuinely thought the ending was so bad. The ending of this game does this game a disservice. I don't think they stick the landing. I think a lot of the third act is kind of whatever, but the quality of the game overall is so high that literally as credits are rolling and I am sitting there going, that ending sucked, I immediately started a second playthrough. I skipped credits, new game, create a new character, new class, let's go. Got another couple hours in. And as I'm like playing the second playthrough, I'm thinking about the third playthrough that I want to do. Like, I could genuinely see me replaying this game every couple of years, just building a new character and just like playing it over and over. I cannot wait to see the modding scene for this game in 2 to 3 years. I want to see what people add to this game. I'm looking for so many reasons to play this game. I cannot wait. Drum roll, please. I don't know if that's picking up on microphone. For the number one game on my list, my favorite game that I played in all of 2023, it's Neon White. I love this game so much. Genuinely like a top 10 game of all time to me. I would need to think on it again. I did a stream earlier in the year of what are my top 25 games of all time, and honestly the bottom half of that list is kind of all over the place, and I think I put Neon White somewhere in the top 10. I don't know. It's just one of those vibes based thing where it's easy for me to say, but I'd have to go see where it actually lands. I am a fan of speedrunning. I literally have said at the top of this stream, GDQ is happening and I need to get this stream done before a run that I'm interested in shows up on stream. I love speedrunning. I speedrun a little bit in the past. I did some Mega Man X2. I did some Mega Man 2. I did some Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon. I don't know why the name of that game escaped me. But it turns out some of my favorite way to speedrun games is just bite-sized. Like, here's a stage that you can complete in 10 to 30 seconds. Just bang it out, see what kind of time you get. I think that kind of bite-sized, like, not something that I really need to commit hours to, but just like something super small. Love it. I had a blast playing through this game. I love the music. I love the aesthetic. I love the gameplay. I love the characters. They're all losers. There's, I think, literally not a single criticism I have about this game. Loved it. Just loved it. There's a final challenge at the end of this game where it's beat all the stages back to back without making a mistake, and I did that. I streamed it. It's up on YouTube. I kind of want to do it again. I don't even want to aim for a better time. I just want to do that endurance challenge again and beat all these stages again. Like, I think about it all the time because this game is just phenomenal. It just clicked with me on a different level, and I love it. Highly recommend. Pick it up. Buy it on sale. Buy it not on sale. If it's on sale and you want the game, I don't know. If we're mutuals, ask me for a copy. Maybe I'll hook you up. We'll figure something out. I want to support this game. I want to spread the love. I need you to buy this game and try to beat my times so I have an excuse to grind out times again. Good luck. My times are pretty good. I think Kuvo has me beat in one time, and that's about it. I think aside from one stage, every other stage, last time I checked, I beat all of my friends. And I'm looking for an excuse to get back in there. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and update my backlog for 2024. That's where I was in 2023. Let's go ahead and import that list over to the new year, clear out all the stuff that I beat, and maybe touch it up a little bit. So I still have this scene sitting around from when I did this list last year to win the game Drink Dr. Pepper. I just never touched it. And I thought about updating it a little bit for this stream. I ended up not doing that. So I just thought it was funny that I still have this sitting around. So let me go ahead. I'm just going to hard copy and paste my list from 2023. And we'll just cull it from there. So, oh my God, ugly. Okay, my cursor is showing up. I had a couple columns for like how excited I was to play the game, if I wanted to stream it or not. A lot of those columns ended up doing nothing for me. I actually ended up streaming a lot less last year than I thought I was going to. I streamed quite a bit at the start of the year because my wife and I worked just different schedules, and her being at work in the evening gave me a lot of free time to do whatever I want. But now we kind of work the same schedule, and I just haven't really felt the need to be like, oh, welcome home, honey. Anyway, I'm gonna go off and play video games for the internet. Like, so I just haven't streamed as much. So that stream column wasn't doing a lot for me. And then also the excitement didn't really mean anything, and the estimate didn't really mean anything of like how long to beat, because I originally had that estimate of how long this game was going to take to beat as a like, oh, maybe I'm going to look at this list and decide I only want to play like a 10-hour game. That never happened. I literally just pick games pretty much just based on vibe or randomly. So I'm cutting all these ones that I've completed, just straight up, cut them all. Cut all the ones that I've removed. I'm going to go ahead. So I put Legends of Runeterra. It's just like, yeah, I'll play that occasionally. I don't find these very helpful of like, here are some online games I'll just play randomly through the year. Those ended up not being very helpful because they don't really contribute to the stats. They are games that I can just kind of pick up and play whenever I want. So let me see. Let me remove all the ones that I dropped. Delete rows. Okay, so we're back down to 47. Where's Yakuza 5? Okay, it's in. So, I do have a few games that are still in progress. I actually did start a playthrough of Control, but with God mode enabled. If you don't remember from last year, I put this on my list saying I enjoy the game quite a bit, but I didn't enjoy the combat. I actually found the combat very detrimental to my enjoyment of the game. So I kind of want to try it again, but with God mode on. And I've gotten a couple hours into that. So I ended up playing a little bit of Final Fantasy X. It's still on my list because I've played this game a couple times. I just have it on PS4 in the background. Battle Network Collection, I can honestly take this off, is just a game that I can kind of just, like an ongoing game, I can just kind of play these whenever. 3 Ultimate and Freedom Unite are kind of the 2 Monster Hunter games that are in my backlog right now. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, I am playing that with Panzer. This game is fucking awful. Don't play it, but we are contractually obligated to finish it. We are not streaming it, and once we beat it, we are never touching it again. So you will never see us play this game. If you want our opinion on this game, here it is now. It sucks. I hate it. It's bad. Yakuza 5. I am about to enter the finale. Last night I finished Shinada's chapter, so I'm ready to go to Tokyo where all the characters are heading, and GDQ started, so it's maybe gonna be a week before I can finally do like the finale of this game. I fucking love Yakuza 5 so far. There's my opinion of that game so far. I love it. Maybe my second favorite Yakuza game of all time. We'll see. I need to like revisit 0 at some point to see if I still think that's like one of the greatest games of all time, or if that was just like the newness of being new to Yakuza. But man, I love 5. It's so good. So there's a couple new things that I've added on here since the last time. Blade Chimera is a new game from the folks behind Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth, so highly looking forward to that. Dishonored 2 I added because in my backlog of last year, I said Dishonored 2, doesn't that go on sale sometimes for like $5? If someone can find that for $5, let me know and I'll play it. And then a couple months ago, it actually went on sale for $5, so I picked it up, and I just haven't launched it yet. What else have I? Oh, I put it on Final Fantasy 16 because I'm waiting for it to come to PC. I'll probably check it out someday. I'm not super. I've heard some things about that game where it's kind of baby's first action combat game, and you can really tell this was designed by people who make an MMO. And there's someone who is kind of half-heartedly interested in Final Fantasy 14 because their design specs are basically the same in all content they do, and it's just not interesting anymore. I'm not very excited about this game, but I'll probably check it out someday. I put God Hand on here because I got really into seafood, and I was like, I want another game where I just punch dudes. And you know what? I've never actually played God Hand, and people say that's good. That's really great. So I kind of want to check it out. What else have I put on here? Oh yeah, I broke up the entries for all the Monster Hunter games. Still haven't played the Outer Wilds DLC. I put Pony Island 2 on here because, again, they announced it, and I went, I love that inscription. Want to check this out. I put... This was a mid-2023 entry where I'm, like, taking a shit or I'm in the shower or something and go, you know, it'd be really funny if I played Star Fox Adventures. And then I just put it on the list and didn't think about it again. I don't feel compelled to take it off yet. Maybe I'll check it out someday. I do want to check out Star Ocean Second Story R. I love Star Ocean 2. That game is phenomenal. I just have not had the time to pick it up. I kind of want a feeling... I'm waiting for a sale on this one. Super Mario Wonder, I would pick this up. I want to play this game so bad, but I want to get it through the Nintendo Online game voucher program. And I don't have a second game that I want to pick up yet. So I'm waiting for a second game to come out that I'm interested in, and I can pick up 2 games at like a slight discount. I saw a trailer for a cool looking indie game coming out in 2024 called The Gecko God, so I put that on here. A friend gifted me Typecast for free because his friend worked on the game, so I need to check that out sometime. And I broke out all the Yakuza games and other entries. So I have a couple of other things I want to put on this list. If anyone has any like 2023/2024 games that they think I should consider, post it in chat while I look for the short list of random games that I thought of within the last week that I wanted to wait until I streamed to put on my list. Let me see. Oh yeah, I should put... So... I didn't put Yakuza 8 on this list because I was under the impression Yakuza 7 was surely going to be the last game they put on PS4. Because I feel like Yakuza 7 came out like shortly after the PS5 came out. And I was like, that was the window. Now they're going to start putting games out on PS5 only. Turns out Yakuza 8 is coming out on PS4, and I have no intention of buying a PS5. So I'm just Yakuza 8 because I'm gonna have a platform to play it on. I might as well pick it up. I think by completing Yakuza 3 and 4 and being nearly done with 5, I've proven myself that yes, I am into Yakuza for the long haul. So I'll definitely check it out. Lies of P, I'm also weirdly kind of not interested in. From what I understand about that game, people say it is the best non-FromSoft game. Like, it's actually, like, shockingly good for it not being From Software. And that should interest me. And it just kind of doesn't. I'm just like, I'd rather probably just, like, play Bloodborne again or something. So, I haven't really considered it. I don't really have a drive to play that game. Void Stranger. I know 2 things about this game. I know 3 things about this game. 1, people seem to love it. 2, it is a, what is it called? Sokoban game. It's just a lot of crate pushing puzzles. And honestly, I can fuck with some crate pushing puzzles. Every now and then. It's been a while, but I could go for it. And 3, this game is not what it seems. Apparently there is more to this game than just pushing crates, but no one will say what it is. It's one of those games of just like, you should just play it and see for yourself. So maybe I'll check it out. I don't know. It's on. I got my eye on it. I'll check it out. Speaking of Baldur's Gate 3 and like really just wanting to make a character and build a character and just go through the world as a character. Caves of Qud, however you pronounce it, looks interesting. I hear it's really good for what it is. Hitman Go, Lara Croft Go, and Deus Ex Go. These are games that I've all played before. Again, as someone who commuted a lot to and from work on the bus, in particular Lara Croft Go, I replayed probably about a dozen times. That game is phenomenal. I have not played them in years just because I've not commuted in years, and I kind of just want to just revisit these games. I am a couple chapters into Hitman Go again, while GDQ goes on in the background, and I'm just looking for something to do on my phone while the TV is running. These games are great. I love these games. I'm just looking for an excuse to replay them. Here's a game that I've had my eyes on for a while, and it finally got put up on Steam. The Transylvania Adventures of Simon Quest, aka kind of like a parody version of Castlevania 2. It looks kind of funny. I'm interested to see where it goes. I love classic Castlevania, and someone's making a classic Castlevania, so I want to check it out. Nah, I think they're probably fine. If they're going to get cease and desisted, it would have happened by now. And one last game that I have on my list of things that I put down. Lizard Cube Game 3 Shinobi. So during the Game Awards, there was like that Sega presentation of like, we're making like a dozen games. Here's 10-second clip of a new Jet Set Radio. Here's 5 seconds of a new Golden Axe. You could see very brief for like 2 seconds Shinobi in the Lizard Cube art style. And Lizard Cube is they're being very tight-lipped about it. They have not confirmed it yet, but odds are pretty high they're making a Shinobi game, and I will be there day one to check that out. Because I love their art. I cannot wait to see what they're doing. Oh yeah, Dawn Trail. All right, hold up. Final Fantasy XIV is going to perpetually be on my games to play list forever because I'm sucked in. Dawn Trial. Yep, that's it. Hey, word of advice to all you fledgling gamers out there. Don't play Final Fantasy XIV. It will ruin your life. I criticize this game constantly and will not stop playing it. Don't be like me. Me and my friends are almost done beating UCOB again. We got to Golden Bahamut last night. Oh yeah, and I'm gonna go do some Delubrum Savage tonight. I think I saw some people trying to organize it. I'm probably gonna hop in on that. Bruh, fuck Final Fantasy XIV. I love that game. Fuck it, hate it. Fuck that game. Will not stop playing it. Drink a Dr. Pepper to win. Well, if no one has anything else to add to this list, I think it's a pretty good starting point for the year. As usual, throughout the year, I'm probably just going to add things as they come up to me, remove things as I decide I'm not ready for them, and then maybe I'll do this again at the end of 2024. Who knows? I don't know. I feel like 2023, with the backlog reminding me of like what I actively am interested in playing, I got a lot done. Now, granted, a number of those games were games that I could just sit there and play for hundreds of hours. Monster Hunter, Final Fantasy XIV, stuff like that. But in between those games, it gave me a more focused list of, you know what? You wanted to check out this. And then you wanted to go check out Gato Roboto. And you played that for 2 to 3 hours and went, yep, beat it, done. Or, oh, you wanted to try Shin Megami Tensei. Played that for like 5 hours. I'm not feeling it. It helped me focus. And I found it very helpful. And I'm looking forward to continue doing this in 2024. And we'll see where I go. Thank you for keeping me company and listening to me ramble about games that I didn't even try, and games that I loved, and helping me decide what I'm going to be playing in 2024.